if I have to be dating 2 and 3 and 4 people at one time, I just rather not. It's no different for me than go hanging out with a girlfriend of mine or whatever. At least I know exactly what I'm going to get out of that. It's going to be great times, and we'll see each other and plan another date for a date future. But multiple guys, no, I'm not. Good evening and welcome back to another episode of the Purpose and Powerful Podcast. I'm your host with my co-host, America Lester, and we have
Jurbil Wilson, the real Jurbil. How you doing? E?
Doing great. Tonight, what we're discussing are the double standards of dating, expectations, finances, and double standards. Fantastic. So with regard to expectations, when I was dating, I'm not dating now currently, well, no. When I was dating before I got married, it seemed like the landscape was really easy. Boy meets girl, get to know each other, fall in love over time, exchange. Yes, I do want to marry you. The I do's are exchanged, we're married and happily ever after to a certain point. But now, online dating, speed dating, blind dates, dating apps, all kinds of things have transpired since that time. What do you think about it, Jurbil, to see the last 20 years change so dramatically?
It's changed. I mean, I think the game is the same. It's just new technology and new resources and new access. And because of the new access, I mean, you can see somebody, you could download an app, you can see them, you could have them travel to see you, or you could travel to see them. You can meet them on a cruise. I mean, it's just so much accessibility. So that I think that the relationships move faster, they start faster, and they also end faster. And when I say they end faster, it's if you understand your worth, because usually the person that you get to see from the beginning is usually not the person that they really are. It's a representative, or I call them a chat bot or AI. They're not real. And we fall in love with this idea of being with somebody that we would dream of, and with the technology that they can create that within minutes through picture editing and all of these things. And when you see the person in real life, they're never who they said they were. But on the flip side, a lot of times, if you look in the mirror, we're not the same person either. So we kind of, we talked about in earlier episodes, you attract who you are and where you are. So if you're excited about this online dating, there's a lot of things that come along with it. Not saying that I'm against it, but it's nothing like seeing somebody in real life in person, because ultimately you wouldn't have a virtual marriage or virtual relationship. You're going to be with that person and hopefully be able to spend a lot of time and see them in person.
Well, you bring up such an excellent point. I mean, it definitely has changed a lot. So with how those changes have transpired, what do you think about how much time now? Like, if you think about the time or energy that you put into dating people beforehand, and now everything is just so microwave and instant, right. People are dating 1 week, they're so in love or whatever, or they're dating multiple people at one time and spending so much energy in this courting phase. Like, what does that look like now? Or what should that look like now, rather?
Well, I don't know what should. I'm married, so I can say some things. I mean, I put the disclaimer on, and I'm just saying if I weren't married, because from that other viewpoint. But for those who are dating, I mean, it just seems like you can do whatever you want. You could have somebody cancel on you, and you could text somebody else or send out a mass text to a whole bunch of people and say who's available. And I mean, within minutes. I mean, so the dating game is definitely different. It's definitely different. And you don't even have to call people back. You could send them a text. So you could be out on a date with somebody else, send them a text and say, when are you available? 2 hours later, tell the other person you got to go to pick up your children or your door, whatever you want to make up, just to be with the other person. Now the person you left, now since this is the late night shift for the new person, and I'm not trying to put game out, but I'm just telling you what could happen. You put the other people on do not disturb, and now you're with the person that you want to be with at that time. Next morning, you can resurface, or the next day, whatever you feel like, you can do that. So with all the features on the phone, you can see when somebody's read something, or you can see if you want to ignore them. And you can disappear. So that's another thing with this dating, especially virtually. They can come in and out, and you don't know what happened. And when they come back, they can come back with a story that's not real. But since you're not ready for that, I say, fake relationship to end, you'll just listen to whatever they tell you. So it's unfortunate for a lot of people who are single out here, because it's a big game right now. It really is.
Yeah, I personally, I don't like to play games. And so,
So you'll attract somebody who doesn't.
I know, right? So it's just more like, especially for entrepreneurs, people or business owners are very busy lead very busy lives. For me, it's like, if I had to be dating 2 and 3 and 4 people at one time, I just rather not, personally. I mean, I get it. It's no different for me than go hanging out with a girlfriend of mine or whatever for dinner or lunch date or something. At least I know exactly what I'm going to get out of that. It's going to be great times. I'm going to spend money on myself, and and we'll see each other and plan another date for a date future. But multiple guys at the same time, no, I'm not. For me personally, that's a no. For other people, it's a sport, but for me personally, I'm thinking no. So
it's very expensive.
yeah, with regard to these shifting expectations, when do you think men, like even going back to your single days, when did you feel like you started to lose interest? Like you met this one, you go on a couple dates, like how soon would you like lose interest? Like, yeah, I don't think I want to be hanging out with this one. Or did you feel like you lost interest and that's why you would be, reaching out and texting that person, what are you doing tonight? Because you're just like, okay, this one, I thought we would be together all day, but I'm really done here. So how about tonight? Let's see what that's looking like.
I didn't say that I did it, but I just think about how that would be, how you could make it. I mean, I have been in a transition where maybe I don't think I could date 2 people at once. I mean, you got to think about the male. It's more expensive for a male. So I'm not dating 3 women in one night, going to 3 different restaurants or different places. That's going to, I wasn't going to do that. So I didn't have that type of investment. So, and then that's an expensive game that falls on me at the end.
But did you know a boy that one of your boys or somebody who did do that like all the time? Because it's not uncommon now.
Definitely not uncommon. I mean, I have friends that, and it's serious. I mean, and some of them have it for gambling. Some of them have car fetishes, but others have dating fetishes. And how many women can they get? And how many can they keep? I mean, they have their own spreadsheet with the names.
Wow. Sounds like sports betting kind of.
It is. So I mean, they have categories and rules, and put them in red and hide on the spreadsheet. Then when they're ready for them to come back. It just depends. So I'm telling you, it's some serious stuff out here. Again, it's a rough game. I mean, and people could really get hurt. So I hope that people find their true self within first, so you can attract a true person. And that's really what it boils down to. Because no one, I don't think, really wants to be alone. But if you're not happy with yourself, how you expect somebody to be happy with you, and what value you're going to bring when you're broken down and you see it and you're not happy with yourself? You got to ask yourself, would you date you? Would you deal with you? Would you marry you? Nobody's out here to rescue anybody, because we're all going through things. So no one needs that extra burden when you're already going through things,
Wow, that's heavy. That's so heavy.
Heavy.
So, with regard to the games and the different colors that you might find yourself in, that you don't even know you're part of this game.
Wow.
And moving it around like chess. When do you think women, as a woman, how long or what are signs that this says that they can possibly move from casual to exclusive? Or is that only because I've heard it said you're not exclusive till you're married? That's a lot of people's position.
Well, I don't agree, because it's almost all or nothing, and you can't always give it all. So why would you put that expectation on someone else? I know that we've spoken before, and you were very honest. Again, when you're honest with yourself, you get the best. You get the best you of where you are right now, because you're honest with yourself. And you had said that even for a relationship, that even if you were to push for that relationship, you admitted that you weren't really available. See, and I applauded you for that, because a lot of women want something that they can't handle the cost of it, but they want it anyways, just to say they had it, or because of their age or getting older or whatever. And I feel that that's not fair, because that's like, I think it's almost, I don't want to say childish, but it's like a child wanting something and you give it to them and they can't handle it, and they destroy it and then play victim. Because when your child destroys something, what does a child usually do once it's destroyed? They start crying, but they're the ones who destroyed it. So when you look at life and patterns of people in relationships, and I say this a lot about the women, because the women are the ones who, what I've seen, push for marriage, push for a relationship, push for children, push to live together at all costs. And even if men do it, it's for a different reason usually, but women do it maybe for they have pressure from others, or they want to validate themselves, and that's definitely not the right way. Well, I'm just telling you that that's my take on that, and that I feel that people need to slow down and only ask for what you could give or expect. Not nothing more, nothing less, because it's not fair.
Excellent. So with regards to the exclusive concept, you have the intimacy piece, right? So for all of us, our faith friends, our thing is we really want to do what the Bible says, to wait and join together as husband and wife. But depending on the partner you have, that may push for that relationship to just kind of speed through like lightning, or to say, okay, well, maybe my earmarker isn't that we can wait till marriage, but we can wait until we're in love or we're at a certain space. As a man, how soon are you making the distinction between, okay, this person slept with me very early, like in this period of time, versus I have a sense that she does this with everyone, or this is something special. Were you able to ever tell the difference?
Well, a lot of times, and I don't know if it's somebody wants to cater to somebody's ego, but usually if somebody happens to sleep with you that quickly, they don't say, and you don't even ask. Before you could ask, well, is this something you usually do? They usually say, I don't know what happened. I normally don't do this. It's just something about you. So I've heard that story a few times, and it feels good. And you don't really want to check and find out if that's the truth, because you want to feel special. And so you go from looking at them as something like they just sleeping around to, wow, I'm the chosen one for that day, or maybe just for part of that day. So I don't, as I've grown up and seen more and understood more, that's usually not how it really happens. And usually we don't see it as men. We think that we were the ones who had the advantage when you were already targeted, and that was what the woman wanted. And then, so she flips it, plays like it just happened and all that, but you were already strategically picked, as we even saw last episode with our guests, that they're strategically picking and looking and checking people's credentials and all of that. So you may think that the woman that you saw her first, but she's already researched you for months, and not just her friends. It's deep. I'm hearing it, and that's kind of scary. Women calling guys creeps. There's some women who are doing some stuff. They know everything about you. They got nurses in the hospitals and doctors who can check your medical records, can check your criminal record. It's so you're thinking that you this guy and you got the upper hand, but they already know about you. They know all the stuff.
Is that a marker or something that it plays in the back of a man's mind when you're thinking about moving to exclusive, that would rule them out if they slept with you early? Like they may have said, I want to wait, or
well, what do you call
do
early?
something different?
What do you call earlier? That's
like, okay, so like if a woman slept with you in, let's say, 3 weeks.
That's not early.
I'm saying
in this day
from
and age, I don't call that early. I think, and it depends on how many times you've seen him. Are you going out almost every day, talking every night? And I mean, spending time. I mean, these are things I recommend. I mean, before you do something and you think there's going to be a person, you get tested, which we talked about. You talk about a few other things before and after of a physical relationship of that degree. But I don't know if that's too early. I mean, you talk about people with these one night stands at a party. I mean, you didn't even know this person existed when you were getting your hair done that day and all of that. And you see this guy and you're at a party or whatever, and it goes from one thing, and next thing you know, poof. Then the next morning you in their room, like the roosters and everything chirping and the birds, and you never even saw that coming. So is that too early, or is that just because that can happen too? And I think that when those things have happened, I've seen people get married as a result, had children, and have been together over 20 years. And if that relationship didn't work, it wasn't because they slept with each other the first night. It's usually never that. And you see a situation, somebody took 2 or 3 years to sleep with. Usually when it ends, it has nothing to do with that. So I think that in some cases, the sooner the better in terms of certain things to come out so that you know if this is the person you're supposed to be with. And I'm not always talking about sex, but I'm just talking about overall intimacy and overall knowing the person. Because I ran into a friend, and I know this guy was married, and I saw him at a event. He was with another young lady, and I know he was married a couple of years ago. I didn't even know he had problems with his wife, but now he's having fun. I mean, he's living and loving it. He has that it's my turn look, and it's my turn swag. Like I'm free. I'm a free man. But I wouldn't have known that. And sometimes you think when people have put so much into a relationship or a marriage that they probably would stay, but he's got a woman 20 years younger than he is. And I mean, he's just having his fun.
So the count starts from the day you meet, and it depends on how many dates or how many interactions. That stuff just adds up.
I think
It does make it a little difficult if, like I said, if you're working it from a faith perspective, because it's not so much that you're not the good girl or that's not a good guy, but the women that he just ran into before you just made it so easy, almost the expectation that you're going to be easy. And now you're like, man, like I just keep running into dogs one after one after, after the next. So, and it doesn't even have to be that man's makeup is that, but I think because if that's what women are consistently doing, they think that's just what we're all doing now. And it's not even like that.
Well, a lot of women are. A lot of women may wait or may do it a different way, but if somebody will plan to sleep with you in 2 weeks or a month, they can make it feel like it was 2 or 3 months or almost a half a year, but really it's still the same thing. I mean, I think that some people I've been in situations or seen women say they off the top, we're not doing anything for at least 6 months and blah, blah, blah. I mean, they say all of that. And then next thing you know, something goes down. You don't want to throw it in their face and remind them what they said, but you kind of, we're going to be okay with it. But I'm not going to just stop and say, yo, you remember you said that we were going to wait 6? No, what guy's going to do that? I mean, he's just going to go with the flow and hey, so it can vary, but it seems like a lot of times the women hold the keys, the golden keys to a lot of this. And if you, I'm saying this, the real Jurbil is telling you, if you just hold on to the keys and just manage things a little differently, men will respond to you. Because remember, everything has come from a woman. The woman controls, to me, the world. She controls the world. When a man goes down, it's not because of a dude, it's because of a woman. And you look at back in the Bible times, if somebody getting killed or destroyed, it's always distracted from a woman. That's the way. It's not food, it's a woman.
Wow. Now you mentioned earlier that it's very expensive to date, but in the day and age we're in right now, you have women paying for dates, you have men paying for dates, they're going Dutch, meaning paying for themselves. And then you even have men saying, I forgot my wallet, and getting the female to pay. I've seen YouTube videos where it shows clips of the woman actually passing the man money underneath the table so that they can pay. I know you seem to me to be more traditional when it comes to that type of thing, but I mean, what is your take on it?
You said I seem to be traditional?
Yeah, you seem to be traditional, not like, okay, you have the woman paying, you seem to be a man that, you're covering the bill, but that's not today.
I don't, well, I could do it. I like to cook, so I like to cook too. So if it's somebody, I'm not just into this dating, going out to eat, running up a bill. I like to cook. So I'm into that. And then I have dietary restrictions. So I mean, we can go out sometimes, but I like to hang out and prepare a meal and do things. So it doesn't always have to be a special celebrate occasion. However, because if you were really in a relationship, you would go out sometimes, but wouldn't it be nice to have a cooked meal for you when you come home and the male did? It's not always the woman. I mean, he knows exactly how much seasoning you like or what type of, so it's 2 different rosemary and he knows exactly which one you like. It's always going to be the one that's the most difficult to get, but he gets it because he knows. And those things you're not going to get that intimacy in a restaurant. You'll know that she likes that certain meal from the menu from the place. But what if he could prepare something that you call it a weapon meal, like flowers. It's something that he gives you. And it's the secret weapon, and the argument is off because he hooked you up. He put his foot in that. So that's the kind of things that I like. So I'm not as traditional, reverse traditional when it comes to that, because I like to cook, clean. Yeah,
Right, but your first date wasn't probably you saying, come over to my home and let me make you a meal, that's not.
Second or third. My wife, I didn't know that she really loved food, and I didn't know that was her weakness, food. And so I said, look, I want to cook for you and stuff. So I mean, I even took her with me to go shopping, to pick the things. It was almost like having a kid in a candy store, and she was, I want this, I want that. She was just stuffing the cart up and all of that. And she had this moment. She said, you sure you're not going to do anything to me when I get to your house? I said, I just want to cook for you. It's not, I mean, serious. I mean, I don't want to mess with you. You told me you're celibate. Just want to cook for you, Plus, it was getting expensive. I mean, we were going out frequently, and I was trying to pick some restaurants mid-range. When I picked one, she would just change it and up it. I said, oh, so it was. I said, nah. So I think that she even realized it, because at one point, and she'll tell you, I felt like she was just trying to get a free meal. I really felt it. Church and a free meal. I'm serious. It just seemed real smooth, and because she wasn't traditionally coming out like she was money hungry or she wanted a purse, but those meals were adding up, and they were very frequent. So I pulled back, and she noticed I pulled back and started doing a lot of phone time, just talking on the phone. And she asked me, she said, well, what's going on? I want to, we're not hanging out anymore. And I'm thinking, that's not hanging out. We're just going to get something to eat. I mean, it was going out to eat. It wasn't just Starbucks. I mean, we were going out to eat. And you talk about going out to eat where you would have to have money, I mean, food the next day, that type of eating for she could take home. So, and she said, well, you know what? And this is what she said. This is another thing. Because I told you how she said, I need you. I said that on a couple of, because she said, I'll tell you what, I'm not in it just to get a free meal. I really want to spend some time with you. And I would like for us to go out to eat again. And I said, well, all right. I said, let me get you about 2 or 3 weeks. I got to load up. I mean, I like talking to you on the phone. He said, no, I want to go now. I'm going to take care of it. I said, we're not going to McDonald's, are we? And then she laughed. He said, no, I want to go where I want to go. And she did it. I think that the first time she did it, then some of the other times we split it because we were just hanging out so much that it was no way I could keep that up. And I didn't want to set something up that I knew I couldn't keep up. Even in a relationship, being married, I wouldn't do that. So why would I pretend to do that? Like I would cook and do all those things in a relationship. So she was used to that. So she really did like the food. And during COVID, I was cooking a lot. So she was.
Excellent. You mentioned, you gave us a sneak peek on a previous show where you said men have specific dollar limits that they're like, yeah, this one's going to be 500, this one's going to be 1,000.
Remember that.
How much time would he spend over, was there a certain set amount of time that he'd be like, I'm going to pay for X amount up to this point? And then what does that next look like when he got to his dollar limit or his time limit?
I mean, I think it depends on the woman. you put, see, it's sad, but certain women have a higher price point or you have a higher tolerance level. It depends on the overall benefits, the overall opportunity cost. I think that all of it is, unfortunately, almost seems like sometimes a business. I mean, people don't want to admit that, but you even talked about, let's say a guy was extremely educated. He checked all the boxes for you, but then he had busted up teeth. You already said what you would do or would not do. So again, it's a business. Or if he had horrible grammar and he had a temper, and you want to raise children, you wouldn't want kids around your children like that. So already now all of a sudden his value, his equity is depleted, and he's in a different category. Same for me. So it's not just the physical or the sex or anything. It's a whole bunch of other things. Can you take this person around your family and feel proud and not have to explain the person? Can you leave them with your family and they tell you, and they say, look, girl, Erica, I don't know, they got any brothers or something that or cousins? That's what you want. All of us want that. So you don't want the person, the villain that you bring to the family, and you got to hide them and all of that, like you're a child and you fighting your family over them. That's not what anybody, that's not, I don't think that that's sustainable. But guess what it shows? That if that's what you bringing home, that's how you feel about you. That's it. That's who you are. You're the villain.
So with regard to that, okay, so you have the set amount, we're gonna go on, I'm gonna pay for this amount. Now, in the non-marital, whether exclusive or not exclusive, when would a man pay for, or when is it typical for a man to say, I'm gonna buy you this bag, I'm gonna help you pay for this bill? You mentioned on a previous show, like ex of yours got really upset that they thought you should invest the money on their rent rather than on a laptop. And you're like, well, I need this laptop and you can benefit too later, but right now, this is specifically tailored for this need.
You know what? That's so interesting that you brought that up, and it just hit a chord. I also got them a laptop. They got a mini laptop, but they had a laptop, and it helped them because they were going back to school. So I had that influence. So I would rather get them a laptop than a bag. And they appreciated it later. But so I got them a laptop. So I was investing in people I was dating as opposed to just buying them stuff. And if it were something that I liked for myself, for instance, even a phone. So if they had one of these regular, I think even back in the days, they had a flip phone. And I don't know how they still had a flip phone. And I just couldn't take it. So I got them a phone. And it was similar to my phone. And those are the kind of things that I like to do. Because usually when I was dating, I felt like I wanted us to both have similar resources. And I mean, at first I would just ask them to get it. But once I realized that wasn't going to happen, but I knew that they would benefit them later, I did. So no, that laptop she had, and I think we got into a fight. And I might have said, you know what? Oh, when she was trying to talk to that guy, this guy, and I said, give me that laptop back. See, that was funny, but I didn't really want it back. But I definitely wouldn't have said it over a bag, because what I'm gonna do over a bag? So I never said that part to you, that she did get a laptop. I did help her with that because she was going back to school, and I was in school.
Yeah, so that's the thing though. Now, like we learned on our last show with our guest that we had, that these women are doing all the research on the different things. And it's like, so two-part question, everyone loves to say, what do you bring to the table? So
Right.
what are the minimum standards you think or feel should be part of this table that each party should come with?
Some of it's intangible, but first of all, you got to be honest. Bring honesty to the table. I mean, you could, suppose you don't have a degree, but if you're honest and you say, this is where I'm achieving, this is where I started, but I want to get back, just the honesty. I think that for me, because then I don't have to have my guards up as much, and I can be honest. Because we've been hurt, and sometimes we've been hurt from being too honest. But if you're with a person, you show your vulnerability and you're honest with each other, And you're only sharing that to just let them know that this really did bother me in the past, but I'm looking for the present and the future with you. I think that that's the only reason that should be used, that information, so you'll know if they've been in domestic violence, if they've been traumatized. It's just so key to know that in certain tough subjects or touch points, areas that are really hurt, dig deep. You want to stay away from that, but they have to tell you that. So communication, honesty, availability, being available, because if you're not, then it's not going to grow. It's going to go up and down. And if you get a person, you spoil them and make yourself available, but then you disappear, there will be something, I don't want to call it cheating, but they can be a replacement. You can be replaced and not know, especially if you don't have a quote unquote relationship. See, a lot of us use that as a way in and a way out when they want to do what they want to do. But then when somebody else wants to do it to you, then it doesn't feel good. So I would say somebody who's also considerate and selfless, bringing that to the table. Now, in terms of the physical, whatever, that's in the eye of the beholder. But a person who's honest, I think, is the key, a key.
I read this week that some of the issues that men feel like they face in modern day dating is women ghosting them without as much of a rejection. They say, I can handle rejection, but if you're not going to date me or deal with me before you block me, just let me know, and that's cool. And then the other concern they had is women are only focused about what they can get from him, but not what they can give to him. Because from my experience and even dating in that I'm older now, it is more focused, a man, about how you make them feel is going to be way more important than what you can do for him. It's how do you make me feel? What do you think about that?
I agree. It's like, that's when you think about people who have cheated, especially when men step out. Men don't really leave a woman that didn't have money because the person they're with didn't have it, and this new woman buys them, becomes a sugar mom. It's usually because of a person who made them feel better about themselves, and because it could be a woman who has a lot of money and he's with her and she's still putting them down or emasculating them or making them feel like a little son. So he doesn't feel good about it. So he may take the car that he's in that was purchased with the person he's with and drive off to the sunset for the next one, because that other person made him feel better, confident, affirmed, like a man. That's what happens. And you look at the face comparison or the assets on the other side, and you say, well, how did that happen? Because of how the person made you feel.
Wow. Yes, so you just confirmed that. And I think, with modern day dating, unlike generations before us, people think that they can keep you warm at night because they have so many assets or they have so many accomplishments. And that's not even what that's about. I loved what you said in a previous show. It's like, hey, we can talk about all that other stuff. What's your favorite color? What do you like to do? What's your hobbies? Which I thought, with the shopping, if you will, you miss out on those key things. Is okay, well, I can provide for you, because I've never really seen a situation clear cut where if you've done your due diligence and you have a provider, that man, being a real man, is going to provide. He's not going to have an issue with that. What he's going to have an issue with is how you treat him. Do you respect him? And how you respect him comes out in how you talk to them, how you deal with them, and all those things. So I think, as accomplished and beautiful as we are, we forget about the very basics of a relationship. Men need to feel needed. They want to feel wanted, but needed is premier. I think finding that balance is kind of hard, because you think that, well, you fell in love with me for this. What's the problem?
Mm-hmm. And we also want to feel appreciated. Thank you goes a long ways. Thank you. Just saying thank you and not taking us for granted. or just assuming that it has to be like that, or that that's how we're going to be. Because all of us choices, the choice to come into the relationship is a choice to stay in it. And it's also a choice to how you relate and treat each other in a relationship. And that constantly means you got to put in work and be very intentional.
Absolutely. So let's not gloss over this one.
Sure.
You said in the previous show, you know, in the Bible it says sin covers a multitude of sin. But
Right.
you mentioned some good pumpkin pie will do just the trick. And I thought that was very interesting because women that withhold or use it as a weapon, actually, they're just hurting themselves in the relationship, it would seem.
For sure. They are. But I mean, was that a question? When you asked me a question, or you just
No, I'm just saying, like, if you can expound on that a little bit, because you said, hey, you know, we know what we want and we can't get it. It's all about the approach. It's basically what you said.
well, and saying, and when I was saying they use the physical powers to get what you want.
Right?
You know, sometimes you could do that and just being charming, making the guy feel good. I mean, I see a lot of women work men and they don't even sleep with them. I mean, it just depends on the level of their intellect or what other things that they can excite the guy, get his attention, to keep his attention. Because there's so much sex out here. I mean, like I said, everything is accessible. You could it's probably a sex app. You could do it and look for what you want and grab it. I'm pretty sure it is. So I don't think that it doesn't hold as much value as it did in times past, because it's so accessible, it's so abundant. And I mean, that's just from what I've seen. I mean, you could really, I mean, on these apps and the stuff, you can just jump into a room or a chat room and be out tonight. And I mean, it's like Uber Eats, Uber freaks. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's out there. Just so my point is, it's not going to just be about the sex. It's going to be about the intellect and the intimacy. I mean, if I want married, that's what I'm looking for. Somebody that I can talk to. Sleep with my mind, I can sleep with their mind. And we can intertwine them. And those orgasmic conversations and relationships, you can't put a price tag on them. And it's very, very difficult for another woman or man to get in between that. Especially if you're talking almost every single day. You know that it's going to hurt more. You could sleep with a guy one time, 2 times, and you might be calling back feeling like he took my stuff. You know you wanted it to. It wasn't like he raped you. But what about the guy who talked to you for a week or two and wished you good morning, asked you how you were feeling? You told him something that was going on, something that may be happening to you in a month. And that month comes and he disappears. How do you feel then? Do you feel like somebody took something for you? It's weird. You keep checking your phone and you notice every morning he hasn't called. Or you notice at first he was doing it at 7 a.m. But now it goes from lunchtime passing to maybe emoji, doesn't say anything. Then all of a sudden in the evening, but not at that evening, 2 days later, he just reaches out and just says, hey, what's going on? How you doing? You don't have a relationship with him. There's no title. But how would you feel? How would you feel? And you still talking to your girlfriends about him. Like, I don't know about him. I don't know if he's my type. He seems okay. But look, let him stop giving you that attention and see what you're thinking then. See how you feel. It's different. And they told you to forget about him. He ain't nobody. And then you now you feel funny. So you may even start calling. So part of that is our own ego as well. But another part is that you really enjoy the attention and the attentiveness. And those things you can't buy. So you could still have just had a deal and closed 4 or 5 clients. But one client you didn't close is a person that used to reach out to you 2 weeks ago, and now all of a sudden they're gone.
That is you bring up a very interesting point, because we do love attention. And, you know, they tell you how beautiful you are, how smart you are, and how brilliant you are, and different things like that. And you get really used to it. But as a wrap-up question, you know, we talked about how women, you know, they are doing the research. They know about you before you were targeted. So they know all about you before they even said hello back to you, right? So how soon should people actually discuss finances and credit scores and things like that?
I think it depends on what you're looking for. Some people are not ready to really date or do something serious. So if you're not, then don't ask for that because it's not important. You know what your intentions are, man or woman, talking to everyone, based on who you are right now. Don't pretend like you're ready for something serious if you're not serious. If you're not even serious about yourself, if you don't even know what you want to do in life, or you're in a slump, that's not the time to go out and get on the road. Just like drunk driving. You shouldn't be on the traffic, on the road if you're not ready, if you're not right. Because you're going to have a lot of accidents and some people are going to get killed, literally get killed. So I don't think that certain questions are appropriate or even reasonable if you know that that's not what you don't even need to ask them what church today. It's not even important. For what? Are you going to go? Or are you just going to go for a couple of times, have some fun, and then you're out? You don't need to ask them about their family. It's not important.
Well, I appreciate that. And so we close yet another great episode where we have talked extensively about dating expectations, regarding expectations, finances, and the double standards with that. And so I'll leave with this. As men think about they cannot afford their American women wherever the country you're from, and you go outside your country's or your nation's borders to pick up foreign women, which is fine. What you're into. Just know you have no idea about what that bill is going to cost you, and you may want to rethink that position to see if that's what you really want to do. So stay tuned for an episode about that, where we talk about the passport bros and chicks. And I'll let Jurbil tell us about what's happening next week on the podcast.
Okay. Well, we do the divorce dilemma. So stay tuned. But we may have another surprise, so that's why I wasn't going to announce it. So stay tuned. If not, it's going to be the divorce dilemma because some new things are arisen since this call that we've had. But we enjoyed you. We look forward to seeing you next week, and it may be a surprise. You got anything else to say? And by the way, do you like surprises? I know a lot of women do like surprises.
I do within reason.
Okay.
I do.
All right.
Well, thank you for joining us for another episode. We look forward to tuning in next week as we live stream our next episode.
Stay well and have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week.